Stream, please hold off talking. Lauren, you are live. You are live.
Hi everyone. Welcome to the second live dive of today. Now, I'm Lauren. We have Emil on camera, and we do have my boy Pat on the surface, somewhere up there. So just to give you information about where I am right now, I am at 17.6 meters, which is quite deep for these kind of dives. I'm sitting on the sandy bottom, and we are over at the left side of Casuarina Point. Now, we normally dive the right side, so this time we've gone to the left. And as you can see, it's incredibly beautiful. So I have no idea what to expect to find today, so why don't you all let me know what you want to see. So Pat, I'm going to hand it over to you. Tell me what you want to see, and me and Emil are going to swim over the reef, so join me.
Welcome everybody, and as well as telling us what you'd like to see, please send in any questions about anything that you're seeing that's relevant to what's going on this dive. So if you are watching on Twitter, please make sure that you're using the hashtag diveLIVE. That way we'll be able to see your questions. And on Facebook and YouTube, we'll be monitoring that whole chat so we can see anything that you want to ask or see. Now, Lauren, you did get me pretty excited earlier talking about loggerheads, so I'm going to challenge you with that today.
Oh, thank you, Pat. No, a loggerhead would be my dream come true, and we are slightly far out in front. We're right at the bottom of the reef before we reach something called the wall. So that's why I feel excited to see a loggerhead. So thanks for that, Pat. Emil is my eagle eyes, so he will be scanning around as we scan the reef. Now, we're going to stay quite close to the reef so that we can look for the small things as well. It's not always about the big things. So we're going to hover above, and you will get a good visual on how this reef really looks. So as Pat mentioned, please do send in all your questions. We're here to try and answer them, and let's see what we can find.
So just for a little bit of context of where exactly Lauren is right now, she's on the left-hand side of Casuarina Point here at Grand Cayman towards the Sunset House side. So we are on the west hand side of the island, and Sunset House is another dive site that is down the road from us here at Casuarina Point. So this is quite a productive strip of coral reefs and is very, very popular for scuba diving. So we have Sunset House here at Casuarina Point, then further up Devil's Grotto, and then Eden Rock just up for that. So that is a world famous stretch of reef.
Yes, and Emil swims this strip for exercise almost every day. He's a swimmer, an ex-monofin champion, so he always swims this strip and he always sees a nurse shark. So I'm literally open to any marine life that wants to show itself to me today.
And James would like to see a giant anemone, which I think we can do. There's quite a few here on this reef.
We can definitely do that one. That one's not too difficult. Emil will be on that one right away.
And Cindy is asking, what kind of fish enjoy the sandy bottom habitat?
Oh, that's an easy question, because quite a lot, to be honest. So we will just go over here. There's lots of garden eels that hang around the sandy bottom, and they are actually a fish, believe it or not. And a lot of fish will make burrows here too, believe it or not. On the first dive of the morning, Pat actually saw a very small jawfish living in the burrow in the sand. There's lots of sea snails in their shells here. So just to look at it like this, it does look quite barren, but I can assure you it's not. There will be a lot of fish living in this sand here. And of course the odd stingray will make its home in the sand, you never know. So this is why we're going to stay really close to the reef and the sandy bottom.
And no, Richard, we do not have a final control here in Grand Cayman, so I am the final control. But it looks like we have a grey angelfish.
Yes, this is my first time seeing one underwater here at Casuarina Point. So Pat has spotted them quite a few times, but I have not. This is really exciting for me.
Yeah, this is great. So we did see a French angelfish this morning, and the grey angelfish is very similar in terms of morphology and their structure. The only real difference is the coloration. So we can see that this one has a white ring around the scales, whereas a French angelfish has a yellow ring around the scales. But apart from that, they're almost identical.
Yeah, they're very similar, but once you get used to the two, you can see they're different. And obviously this one gets the name grey angelfish because it's almost entirely grey, apart from little bits of yellow. Now, the grey angelfish and the French angelfish have very different juvenile phases. And both of their juveniles are actually really similar. They're both small, they're both completely black with yellow bars down the body. Now, the only main difference to the naked eye is little splashes of blue, very small blue spots. So it looks completely different to what you're seeing now. This is obviously the adult form. And for some reason, we always find grey angelfish to the left of Casuarina Point. We never find them to the right. Would you agree, Pat?
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. So why that is, I have no idea. Maybe there's a higher density of sponges here for them to eat.
Yeah, that is possible. It is a completely different reef over. Oh my God, a hamlet here as well. Okay, there's a lot happening. We'll stay with this grey angelfish for a while because it's really beautiful. Now, angelfish are omnivores, so they really eat everything and anything like me. So they do have quite wide mouths designed so that they can take big chunks out of sponges, like Pat mentioned. So 90% of their daily diet is made up from sponges. And believe it or not, sponges are actually very inedible and very indigestible. They're full of toxins and they're made up from little glass spicules. So actually, when you think about it, it's not the most appealing thing for these fish to eat. But their diet is mainly made up of that. But they will also eat algae, tunicates, small little crustaceans. But their favourite food is the sponge.
And Lara Moore has a question about this angelfish. She's asking what is the purpose of the white mouth? Now, I'm not actually sure whether this actually serves a purpose or not.
What is the purpose of what, sorry, Pat?
Of the white mouth on the angelfish.
White or the white?
White, like, so you know how it has white lipstick?
No, I don't know why it's white.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
I can't.
It's the coloration, just part of the body pattern.
Yeah, I think it's just how it has evolved, because I can't really think off the top of my head of an advantage of having a white mouth, but I never know. There probably is some reason for it. There's always a reason for everything down here in the water.
That's very true. Now, I did see a little hamlet earlier, but we have swam past that, so I'm going to keep my eyes open. Pat's normally the expert at spotting the hamlets.
Yeah, hamlets are a pretty cryptic and rare species, very elusive, but when they do come out, they are awesome to see. They've got very nice coloration and they're very flamboyant fish. And Proud Cat Mama is asking how many dorsal fins does a grey angelfish have, and it just has that one single dorsal fin. So a dorsal fin is the top fin, and it extends all the way down to its tail.
Yeah, it's quite elegant and elaborate, but they just have one, as Pat mentioned. Now, for any of you who have been following us over the past few days, we have decided to sort of, between Pat and I, play a little game, and this is to find a new species to add to our species list. So at some point during the dive, I am going to find a fish, preferably a small one to make it difficult for Pat, and we are going to ID it for you. So we may not know it ourselves, but we do have ID books which help us get the exact species. So I will be doing that at some point during the dive.
And of course, if anyone else watching along thinks they know better or actually knows what the fish is, please do chime in and tell us. We learn from you guys, although we are the ones talking most of the time. We have learned things from our diveLIVE family, so don't be scared to chime in.
Yeah, so sometimes we do get it wrong. Not all the time, but we do have a queen triggerfish.
Oh,
ahead.
beautiful.
You definitely know that one. Now, these beauties are normally quite shy, so I hope you get a good glimpse of it, because their coloration and their patterns are just out of this world. Now, the queen triggerfish is obviously part of the triggerfish family, which is the sort of flat-ish disc-like body with those undulating dorsal and anal fins. So straight away we can recognise that this is part of the triggerfish family. Now, I'm sure the name the queen comes from the just gorgeous coloration on the body, but also they have a really thin membrane located at the back of their pectoral fin, which throbs. So they purposely throb this membrane to make sounds, and it's quite loud for all the other fish to hear. We, of course, will not hear this, but other fish would, and it acts as a warning sign, stay away. So it's got quite a dominating presence on the reef, and other fish normally avoid the queen triggerfish like the plague. Are you getting a good view of her?
Yeah, really great. And we can see how oddly shaped its pectoral fins are as well. So as we can see, it does move, as Lauren said, by undulating the anal and the dorsal fin. And the pectoral fins look very thin and wispy. So I suppose they're more there for navigation, to move left and right rather than propel themselves forward.
Yeah, so the queen is not the biggest in the whole family, but she is a very large member of the triggerfish family and can go quite large. But the ocean triggerfish and the Titan triggerfish does get a little bit bigger. There seems to be a lot of fish down here. Might be one of those fishy dives. So just to give you an update, I'm now at 8 meters. So we've gone from being quite deep at 17, and we've just came slightly shallower, which is better in terms of I will not use my air too fast, so I can be down here with you longer, teaching you about the ocean.
And Monique would like to see some squid.
Oh.
So if any little squiddies pop out at us, we will definitely show you them.
Yes, I would prefer to see octopus myself, but squid would do. They are hanging around in big shoals in the slightly shallower waters these days, so that is possible.
And Henk is asking whether we get carnivorous sponges here, and yes, well, a lot of sponges are omnivorous, so they feed by filtering out plankton from the water. Now, this plankton can include both algae and small animals as well, so technically some sponges are carnivorous.
Yeah, you wouldn't think of them as big fish as carnivores, but yeah, you're right, Pat. you can think of them like that. Right, so we've definitely approached the shallows now. So we are going to hang around at this depth for quite some time to see what we can find. I do love the shallows.
Yeah, so we also get better lighting down here in the shallows. So when light penetrates water, it actually starts to be absorbed because of the composition of water. So the deeper you get, the more colour you're going to lose, and this actually goes by the spectrum. So the deeper you go, the wavelength, which is how do I describe this? So the wavelength, like the length of the light, gets absorbed as you go deeper. And so we have red is the first colour to go, and blue is the last colour to go. So as you get deeper, you start to lose your reds first and your blues last, which is also
I found an anemone. Sorry, Pat, I'm just going to direct Emil. Might be a little bit tricky to get to, but we can definitely show the anemone for James.
Ah, yes, we can see that right there. That's quite a large one.
Yes, and I think it is a giant anemone species as well. There is actually over 1,000 different species of sea anemone, and this sort of mouthful of a name actually comes from the terrestrial flower, the anemone. So that's how they got that name, and it's quite difficult to pronounce. It's not my favourite thing. Sometimes I end up saying anemone, and I just give up. But we have one on front. And Pat, can you tell me, is there any little critters inside?
Well, interestingly enough, I did see a crab hanging out behind it, but the tentacles kind of went...
disappeared.
Well, it's on the right-hand side, and it was only when the tentacles swayed a certain way that you can see it, so it is hidden quite well in amongst it. But there is a reason for this, and it's because this anemone does sting. So it has stinging cells all over it, and the crabs will acclimate themselves to this. So that means that they will eventually just work up a tolerance for the stings. So then, when they're hiding behind it and other predators that aren't tolerant to this sting comes past, there's no way that they're going to go after the crab because they know they're going to get a nasty sting.
Yeah. Well, the reason I am asking Pat is very often I stay a little bit behind in order to let the cameraman get in to give you a clear view. So Pat can probably see this anemone a lot better than I can. But these anemones, although they make good hosts, they are actually not good for us to be too close to because they do sting. They do have stinging cells, and they can inflict quite a nasty injury. So these beautiful tentacles that you see do harbour the stinging cell, very similar to that of a jellyfish. So the body is quite simple. There's a foot, or like a big flat disc on the bottom, which is actually like one giant suction cup. It's able to sort of plonk itself on the reef, and it sticks onto the reef using this large disc. Then you have all these tentacles surrounding the mouth. Now normally you can't see the mouth, but maybe if the tentacles all move a certain way, you might get a glimpse of it. And they normally just capture any food that floats past them in the water column. So they're kind of opportunistic feeders in the way that they just have to eat what comes by. They're not able to go hunting for a specific food.
And we have a question relating to this anemone, which is great. It comes from Proud Cat Mama. She is asking, how long do anemones live for? Well, in captivity they have been known to live up to 80 years, and it is thought that in the wild they can live up to 150 years old. Now, they also reach sexual maturity at 5 to 10 years of age. So you can imagine in that gap between reaching sexual maturity and the rest of their life, they can do a lot of reproducing in those, 60 to 70 years.
Yeah, they are really fascinating. You why they're kind of mistaken for plants. But they're absolutely not. They're a living, breathing animal. And I have a tiny, miniature, baby, spotted drum here. At least I think it's a spotted drum. We'll try and see if Emil can get onto this. And it's teeny, tiny.
Oh, yes, we can see that there, that spotted drum. How beautiful.
Okay, it's not even, just the body is smaller than an inch. It is really small.
Yeah, it is mesmerising to watch. It's such an odd-shaped animal. So it's got almost like an eel-like tail, and then the pectoral fin, the dorsal fin, that top fin has gone up and almost created like a second tail for it. It looks like a gymnast doing a ribbon act.
Yeah, they do swim in constant circles. So I think it was you, Pat, that said you were quite mesmerised by it earlier.
Yeah.
When you watch it after a while, you just notice it just spins around in circles in the same area continuously. And they are nocturnal, and therefore they hunt at night. So right now it's just hiding out in the safety of this little crevice. And when it does get older, it loses that big elaborate dorsal fin. So that will disappear, and the adult is nowhere near as beautiful as the juvenile form.
Yeah, that's quite interesting actually. So most things, when you think of them as growing, they tend to get bigger and the features get more prominent. But this is the opposite. As it gets bigger, the other features, such as that big dorsal fin, start to shrink.
Oh, I could just watch this for hours. And there is a tiny little arrow crab. Let's see if Emil can get into the arrow crab there. It's just to the right of where you were looking. Let us know when you get a visual, Pat. It is hiding under a ledge, but it's definitely there. To the right, Emil. You guys got it?
I can't see anything just yet. Ah, yes, thank you. We can see that now. So is that an arrow crab?
Yes,
yeah.
A yellow line arrow crab. Is it? Well, from here it looks like one.
Yeah, so that is an arrow crab, although you could mistaken if you thought it was a daddy long legs. They do look a lot like a spider with those huge elongated legs. Now these legs can actually reach 3 times the length of their body. So to me that sounds a bit awkward, but it really works for this animal. And now, being crustaceans, they do molt their shell. And what this means is that because their shell or their exoskeleton is external on their outside, they can't grow unless this shell grows, and this shell can't grow, so what they have to do is shed it off and then grow themselves a new one. And what they actually do after shedding or molting is that they will eat their orange shell to replace the calcium carbonate that they need.
Sorry, Pat, I'm having a little bit of trouble with my mask, so I'll just let you continue to impress with your knowledge about arrow crab.
That is fine. And so, as I said, it is a crustacean, and crustaceans are arthropods. And arthropods include all of these underwater crustaceans, like your crabs and your lobsters, but they also are the land insects as well. So if you actually think about it, there are a lot of similarities between crustaceans and land insects in terms of the way they breathe and the fact that they all have exoskeletons, and generally their body plan is a abdomen and a thorax attached to usually 8 to 10 legs. They often have defenses that are biting, or not biting, or nipping, sorry, or biting in the cases of spiders. So it's, I mean, life did evolve from the ocean, so it's quite cool to see the similarities between oceanic species and land species that are closely related, whereas really the only adaptations that they've had to make is to come out of the water and somehow survive on land. But it doesn't actually always go that way. There's actually been cases of species evolving from water to land and then evolving back from land to water. So, I mean, it's really complex, but everything is related, whether it be on land or in the water, it is all connected.
It's amazing, right? I'm back. Sorry about that. So now I'd like to show you what most likely is a pair, so a male and a female, flamingo tongues. But if you look at the coloration on the shell here, it's really different from what we normally see, isn't it?
Yeah, there's no spots on top of it.
Yeah, so these sea snails are known as the false cowries. They barely make an inch in length, they're very, very small, and they are normally found in pairs. It is quite common to find a male and a female together, but it's not always possible for us by eye to identify which is which. And right now it looks like it's feeding on our gorgonian, Pat's favourite.
It most certainly is, and it's actually good to have the two gorgonians side by side here because we can see the one on the left, it has quite a lot of polyps there, and the polyps are the individual animals that live inside of this skeleton, this calcareous skeleton. But on the right-hand side, the polyps are basically absent, and that is because they have been dissolved by these flamingo tongues. And the flamingo tongues can be gentle sometimes and only eat the polyps, but in other cases, they will eat this gorgonian right down to the internal skeleton of the coral itself.
Yeah, and the coral can regenerate the polyps, though. It is possible for them to regenerate it, but this does take time. And there is a little hogfish hovering around that is, I think, looking for some yummy flamingo tongues, as they are actually the main predator of these guys. Now, we've started to see them a lot recently, but normally the shell is covered in orange spots, and many people think that that's the shell itself. So they sometimes collect these shells for their collection, but what they don't realise is the actual shell is pure white. It has no coloration or no patterns whatever. It's actually the snail and the mantle of the snail inside that produces the pattern that we see. So these ones are slightly different from normal, but you can see there is orange spots there. And the reason for this is the underwater world works a little bit different from land. There's no point in being poisonous or toxic underwater unless you're advertising it. Advertise to the world that you are poisonous and it will maybe deter predators. So that is why they do have these little spots that they display quite flamboyantly, which I imagine is where the name flamingo tongue did come from.
Okay, sorry.
Now, sorry, Lauren, can I make a quick request? So we have the boats coming in for Don Foster's in about 10 minutes, so can I get you to come around the front of Don Foster's?
Can you just clarify what you mean by come around the front?
Well, just come away from the left-hand side, so if you can come back to kind of the front where the boats are and everything, because they do have a boat coming in and our cable is crossing the harbour.
Okay, sure, we'll do our best. So, me and Emil will swim over the reef together. You can make that journey with us, and we can see what we can see along the way.
Yes, we do apologise to everybody watching along. It's just that we do have to work with Don Foster's here, and we thought we had a little bit more time than we did. So that's no problem though. We're still going to be on the reef, and we're still going to be on the lookout for some exciting stuff.
Yeah, well, since we are travelling over the reef, Emil will stay as close to the coral as he can get, so that you are able to experience what it's like to be us right now, I guess. This is exactly what it feels to just be swimming above the reef. Now, the closer Emil goes to the reef, the more colour you will see. So let's stay a little bit closer to the reef, Emil, and everyone will get to experience exactly what it's like to be us. So we are on our way back right now, Pat.
Yep, great. Yeah, it looks like you're heading in the right direction, so thank you for that. And we do apologise. Sorry, Lauren.
Not a problem at all.
So Amanda is asking, how deep can you actually go scuba diving?
Oh, well, that is a loaded question. So most countries around the world will have their own limit, and each sort of diving association will have their limit. So for example, I am with Paddy, and when you're an open water diver, you're only allowed to go as deep as 18. And then as you advance and you complete more courses, you can go deeper and deeper. So here in the Grand Cayman, the maximum level for the average scuba diver who is advanced is 30 meters. But there are some countries around the world where you can go to 40.
So that is about 100 to 120 feet. And there are specialty divers that can go deeper than that with special equipment and a lot of training. And then if you want to go really, really deep, then you need a very specially made submersible like what you see on these deep sea documentaries.
Yeah, so I hope that answered your question, but it does depend on your certification and the location in which you are in. So are you getting a good view of the reef as we're travelling?
It is, yes, we most certainly are. And while we're looking at the reef, we have a question from Take Care, and he wants to know whether there's bleaching here and whether we've seen any bleaching here.
Seen any what, sorry, Pat?
Coral bleaching.
Oh, actually, I have seen almost no coral bleaching here. The coral is very, very, very healthy here compared to that in the Indian Ocean. It's very healthy. I have noticed some evidence of coral disease, but not bleaching. So that's a really good question. And for anybody who's maybe wondering what I'm talking about, coral bleaching is caused by a few factors, but the main factor is when the water temperature is just too warm. So corals are very specific in their requirements, and when it gets too warm, they become very, very stressed. Now in 2016, for example, there was a global El Nino event, and this drove in really warm currents, which made a lot of the ocean's waters too warm for too long. And when this happens, the coral becomes very stressed and turns white, which is where the name coral bleaching comes from. And if the conditions, namely the temperature, doesn't improve in a certain period of time, which is normally around 6 weeks, then the corals will die. So apparently, in the Caribbean Sea, they didn't witness much coral bleaching at all. It seemed to have been quite sheltered from these warmer currents. Whereas I was in the Indian Ocean at the time, in the Maldives, and they lost almost 90% of their coral due to this mass coral bleaching. So, great question, but I did see some corals have got black band disease. So, we have disease, but not bleaching.
Sorry.
So Pat, can you just let me know if we need to continue?
Yeah, sorry, I'm just speaking to Rian now. I'll get back to you in 2 seconds.
Okay. So we're very shallow now.
Okay.
We're at
Lauren, we have lightning. There is a storm approaching, so we're going to have to end the dive.
Okay, I'll just quickly say goodbye to everyone.
Yeah.
Very sorry when there's lightning above, which I can't see. It's not safe to dive. So thank you for joining. We will be back tomorrow for more. See you later.
thank you everyone. As you just heard, there was quite a bit of lightning, thunder, so we do apologise, and we will hope to see you down here 7 a.m. and 11 a.m. tomorrow to go diving again. Thank you all. Yeah. So can you please just keep going?